All right, and let's go ahead then and just get into this final. Connor, did you do a quick change in between segments? That's not what you were wearing in the last one. How'd you do that?
What do I gotta go find my clothes from last night?
Listen, I haven't changed. Look, I'm ready to go.
You haven't changed? Take this man to the laundromat, please.
Wow, look at that, breaking the fourth wall. Yes, we have to record this on a separate day because none of us were staying up until 12 o'clock on a Monday, on a work day, to watch this game, unfortunately. But it's San Diego and Minnesota time, just based off of the stats and some of the things I was reading. So, again, apologies, Minnesota, San Diego fans. We're not going to get that in depth with this game. Play at a normal time. Sorry. Um, Insanely, San Diego FC wins 1-0 with a single shot on target. That being said, that's kind of the way Minnesota plays the game, right? And that's how they usually play the game. They're very defensive. They give up the ball. I mean, if you watch and again, we talk about the highlights on this one. If you watch the highlights, Minnesota, and this is how they play every game, kick the ball off and instantly kick it into the corner and give away possession. They're like, we don't want the ball. Genuinely, they just kick it away. And I'm like, all right, that's anti-football nonsense, but we move. Minnesota concede possession, but had a couple of really decent chances throughout the night. Couldn't hit the frame on a couple of them. A couple of them were easy saves for the goalkeeper Cisnega because CJ Dos Santos is out injured. San Diego FC also created general chances, but it took them until the 72nd minute to actually break them down. And what a brilliant goal this was. Ball gets chipped in over the top. Corey Baird, of all players, running in behind. A magical back heel flick into the path of Andres Dreyer, who takes a touch and rifles this past Dane St. Clair for the 1-0 lead. And they hold on for some really, really fantastic results. They now join the Chicago Fire in 1998 as the only expansion team to make the conference finals in their first year. Connor, your thoughts?
I actually felt like Minnesota looked like they were getting the better chances throughout the game. I know they, as you mentioned, they were not playing for the possession, and that showed hugely because they had 28% possession. But they kind of played their game well. They just didn't have the finishing touch that they needed. Like you kind of, I really imagine like if they had someone like Emmanuel Reynoso in their prime, is that enough to have taken Minnesota that little bit further to have gotten past San Diego and into the conference finals? I wouldn't say that's a far reach at all. Obviously, we know Kelvin Yeboah is a strong attacker. It just seemed like, not his best game. Same thing with Robin Lurd. I feel like he had a couple of chances, he just couldn't put it away. Had they kept Tani, this might have been another story for Minnesota here. I mean, he was a very clinical finisher for them, and I think would have helped them immensely in a game like this where they were getting a few chances, just not being able to put them away. I mean, on SofaScore, they had the XG advantage over San Diego, despite San Diego having 72% possession of the ball. So they played their game and they played it well. It just did not turn out to be their night, to be honest.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. And if you look at it, it came from two really important moments from San Diego defenders. The first one, Ian Pilcher, after Robin Lod gets in behind in transition, cuts back across Manu Dua, tries to tuck it into the bottom corner, beats Cisnega. Pilcher coming back off of the defensive line onto the goal line to clear it, literally millimeters away from crossing the line, would have made it. I believe at that point it would have made it 1-0 to Minnesota, change the game completely. And then in a similar moment where ball gets played in behind, it's Cisnega off his line again, going one-on-one at the feet of the attacker, wins the ball and plays it out. Right, those are two huge moments in the game that if they go the other way, we're talking about a completely different story. Right, so San Diego, to their credit, similar to the New York City thing we were talking about before, has every single player bought in and is playing at their individual best. It's very, very impressive to see. And it is a credit to head coach Mikey Varas, right? To get this group of players, the majority of which are either draft picks or I'm going to use the air quotes discarded, but youth players like Luca Bombino, for example, who other teams just had no use for, that he has turned into a best 11 player. It's such a good and again, then you look at the attacking group, right? You've got Corey. You're not even playing with Chucky Lozano at this point. You've got Amal Pellegrino. You've got Corey Baird starting, right? You've got Andres Dreyer. Like it's insane the level of play that he's getting out of players that if you looked at this roster on day one and you're like, oh, they're cooked. There's no shot. But they always find a way. It's extremely impressive out of San Diego in their first year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all that is definitely true. That being said, in my opinion, they have not looked super convincing in this playoffs, and they look beatable 100%. Versus when you look at a team like Miami right now, you're like, I don't know how a team is going to be able to stop that. I look at San Diego and what they've done so far in the playoffs, and I'm like, I could definitely see Vancouver coming in and getting a win here.
Glaze harder, bro. Glaze harder.
I'm not,
Do you have to bring
I'm
in
not trying to
Messi to
go.
every conversation?
I did not
Gosh.
even mention his name. You brought him up right now, not me.
Well, you said Miami and Messi are synonymous at this point. So, um,
They they kind of are.
yeah, and then looking back to Minnesota, right? Just to flip the script, right? You mentioned, oh, does having somebody like Reynoso change the game? I don't think so, right? You have players like Joaquin Pereira who are supposed to be carrying that team. You've got guys like Markanich and Hlongwane up the wings that have been contributing a ton. Robin Lod is still a fantastic attacking player, and they've put pieces around it. They were just unlucky on the night. I don't think that it was an individual level that they couldn't step to. It took a moment of brilliance out of Andres Dreyer, and it took two very unlucky moments in their attack to knock them out. That's just football sometimes. I don't think it's necessarily any one of those players' level wasn't good enough. I think that the other team was just a touch better in 3 moments, right? If you, and again, only looking at the highlights here, maybe we're missing something bigger, and I will put my hand up and say that. But in three key moments, San Diego each time stepped up and won that challenge, and that's the game, right? You have to win your individual battles, and if you don't, that's what happens.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't necessarily, I think that's a good point. I don't think it was necessarily an issue of chance creation. It was more of an issue of chance finishing.
Yeah,
Um, which is where I think the argument of if Tani was here, it would make more of a difference. Maybe Reynoso is a bad example, but
sure.
someone a little bit more clinical. Obviously, your Bo has been that guy for them for a while, but he just happened to not be on the night. But if that's going to be the case, then somebody else needs to be able to step in and help him out if he is having an off night. And unfortunately, there really wasn't anybody else on the field who could do that for them.
Yeah, this isn't a case of like FC Cincinnati where, oh man, they were terrible and five different players were at their worst. Like Minnesota didn't have maybe but one individual not play at a level where they needed to play, and that's just the reality of it, right? And I think they're positioned to come back and be even better next year, but um, it's San Diego who's going to move on.